folks, and welcome to my thank you tour on the call, where we've been shining light as a way of giving thanks. This is the last episode of season 1, which is a tribute to my childhood friend, Charles Olivier, otherwise known as Charlo. And this is for his giving heart and contribution to not only people, but to his love of his country and its culture, Trinidad. Charles, thank you for all you've done and for being there for me and my family. And if mom and dad were alive, they'd say, we love you, love you, love you, Charlo. The first person we're speaking with is Dougal Williams. So please care and share as we get into Charlo's life a little bit. Hello, Dougal.
Hi there, Ozzy. How are you?
I am doing just fine, thank you.
I met Charlo about 42 years ago, and this was in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in Canada. So I was a newcomer to Canada, and I went to a college there, the Red River College, where I met Charlo. And we sort of had similar tastes. I found him to be very much interested in culture, the West Indian culture. He was involved in steel band and of course in calypsos. He loved to sing. And he was even involved in singing reggae. In fact, any type of activity related to the art forms of the Caribbean or the culture of the Caribbean, Charlo was there. Charlo was a performer. He was always supporting that type of, cultural activities. And so we grew. We had a very close bond throughout my stay in Winnipeg until I moved to Toronto. Shortly thereafter, Charlo moved over to Toronto as well, and we maintained that friendship. But the common thread, the thing I found about Charlo was that he was always a positive person. He is a very positive person. He loves his children. I know Kale and Kieran, his 2 sons, and he was always very thoughtful, very supportive of them. Charlo and I had a very close friendship when I went to Trinidad. I am originally from St. Vincent, but then when I went to Trinidad a couple of years ago for Carnival, Charlo spared no expense. He made sure that I experienced all the things that he knew that I was interested in. Showed me a really great time down there, and that's just the type of relationship I've had with Charlo. That's how I know of him. A very supportive, very loyal friend. And so when I heard of his illness, it was very difficult to bear, as you can imagine, but I'm sure he's doing much better now. And I'm hoping and praying that he will come through this in flying colors.
Absolutely. And now we have Charlo's sons, Kieran and Kale. How are you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much. So who's going to take it up? Let's go.
I'll start. My name is Kale. I am the older of the 2 of us, and one of the things I would want to speak to with respect to my dad, Charles, is the soca music. I think from a very young age, early 90s. We lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and he really, I believe, elevated soca music and that culture in that city. Not to mention, it became a huge influence on me and what I, to this day hold dear to me or what I identify with. I got the opportunity to go to, different events that he used to perform at because he was a singer. He had a band, the whole 9. And I was able to go to these different events and watch him perform. And we went everywhere in terms of patios, events, the whole 9. So it really to this day has had a big impact on me and what I want to do, and as well as a whole province in Canada, with what he was bringing to the table when it came to soca music and his love for his culture. Kieran, you want to take it away?
Well, yeah. Again,
touch on the music side again. My dad wasn't only just an artist; he was a manager as well. Managing soca artists. And fast forward a couple years, when he stopped performing and he was more on the managing thing, he got actually the opportunity to manage SuperBlue. He's actually a legend in the soca industry, and also my favorite, one of my favorite soca artists. So in 2013, when SuperBlue had a very popular song at the time called Fantastic Friday. Very, very popular song. So, it was cool to kind of, because I went to Trinidad that year for a carnival with him, and it was cool to go to the different shows and just to see, because me and my brother had been going to carnival for years prior, but it was good to see a different side of it, and seeing kind of like the behind the scenes, going to the shows, doing rehearsals, and all that kind of things. And I know that was always a dream of my dad's as well, to manage a big star. So to live out that dream with him was something very, very special to me, and something very inspiring to me as well. So
was he also singing in Trinidad, or did the singing end in Canada?
Yeah, well, I know when he was singing in Canada, he was kind of doing both. He would, I believe, go to Trinidad as well. He would know a bit better than me because I was like in the early to late 90s. He would go to Trinidad as well and like sing in some of the tents and some of the local tents in Trinidad. But I know he was a lot more, from what I understand, a lot more popular in Winnipeg and a lot more influential in Winnipeg around the like early to mid 90s, around that time. And then like from the like early 2000s to mid 2000s, he was more on the like managing artists side, and he managed a few artists throughout that period. It would be, for me, the number one thing, very simple, I would like to say thanks for the inspiration of my dad, just to see how hard he works and how he everything he does it with passion, so that for me is something that I know I'll always hold with me, just the inspiration, for sure.
Okay.
I think for me, somewhat echo what Kieran said, is exactly that. I think the biggest thing he's taught me, and even myself as having a child, is always dream big. Dream as big as you can, and live out that dream. I think, like Kieran said, him being able to live out his dream was huge. So, I would say, thank you for showing us how to dream big, how to reach for those dreams. And I appreciate and love him for that.
So now we're going to turn to Carl Holder, Mr. Carl Holder. Hello, Carl.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you very much.
Oh, I met Charles through a friend who is now deceased. He told me about this friend he had in Canada, and that he wanted me to do a recording for him.
What kind of recording was that?
Calypso recording, because I had a company that used to set up and produce Calypsonians in the United States. Well, Charles was a very spunky guy. He loved life, and he thought of all kinds of events that we could have done. And one day he said to me, Holder, you want to go to Thailand? And I said, of course, why not? And he said, meet me in Toronto and we go to Thailand. And that was it. I went to Toronto and met him, and we went from there to Vancouver, and from Vancouver to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong to Thailand. And then a few years after, he sent a song for me to listen to, and it was about politics in Trinidad. And when I heard this song, I said, well, Charles, what do you plan to do with this? And he said, well, you tell me what you can do. And I said, well, we cannot do anything from here. We need to head to Trinidad. And he said, when do you think about going? I said, I would go day after tomorrow. And I went the day after tomorrow, which was a Friday, got in there Friday. And Charles came in this Sunday. And we presented the sound to the powers that be, and they liked it, and they offered us a fair amount of money to use the song for the election, and it became extremely popular.
Wow. What was the name of the song?
Patrick, we're stepping up with you.
Repeat that.
And Patrick, we're stepping up with you. And Patrick was Patrick Manning, who was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago at the time. And from that, I mean, Charlo learned a lot. I learned a lot from the negotiations with this, especially when you're dealing with the government or a political party. And we were extremely successful at that. And from that, we remained friends to this day. Charles, you know I love you. Because that's it, you know, I really truly love the guy, you know. Although he can be very iffy sometimes, but he's my friend, you know, and everybody knows me, knows Charles. What I liked about Charles was that he was very straightforward and he was never on games. If he do something and say, Charlo, that is not good, he would say, what do I have to do to make it good? And I like that about him.
Hi, I'm Barbara, and I have known Charlo for quite a while. We knew one another from since school days, actually, which is really long. And we continued to be good friends. We did a lot of hanging out together with mutual friends. And, you know, I've always known him to be a very nice, likable, very sociable person, always looking out for one another and caring about one another. And then we lost contact a bit when he went to Canada and was there for a while. And then we reconnected sometime after that. And I did some legal work for him because I'm an attorney at law with respect to some lands that I think his mom had somewhere in the deep south or somewhere there. And he was very interested in farming and in living, you know, like off of the land and the produce of the land. And I understand that he also he sells in the farmers market. So he is such a diverse person because he's all into the arts and the culture of the country. And I understand that he also extended that while he was there in Canada. And then he's also trying his hand at farming. You know, he is one that is very self-sufficient and very entrepreneurial and always looking to do something that betters himself and betters the people too, who he's responsible for and who's looking towards him for some sort of who are dependent on him. He's a very good friend, very, very, very good friend, loyal friend, will be there when you need him at all times. And I have found that, you know, my friendship with Charlo is a very real one. You know that you can be honest with him, you can be real with him, and that's what you're going to get back in return. He is a very diverse individual, and I think that is his uniqueness and how diverse he is. That he's not, you can't put him into one bracket or try to fetter him into one type of genre. You know, he's there everywhere, and he does good in whatever he puts his hand to and his mind to. He's a good, real, kind, nice person.
My name is Nicholas Johnson, and I had the privilege of knowing Charlo through my mom. I met him, I would say could be 10 years ago or more, through my love and passion for food. My mother introduced us, and I think we just hit it off. You know, at one time, Charlo is such a welcoming person. He carried me down to meet Angela at his catering business that they have in Arangwes there, and like I said, we just hit it off. He always welcomed me into the world that he has, because I have to call it a world that he has. He's so connected, knows so many people, is such a giving and sharing person, you know, so it's really a privilege to be able to speak about him in this way. He and I did my first real catering job. It was an event, a fete. So, you know, there's only good things I could say about Charlo and the type of person that he is. You know, I pray that God continues to bless him and wish him all the best during this period right now.
Okay, my name is Ingrid. Ingrid Lashley. I've known Charles for, I think, since I was 14 years old. So that is telling tales out of school. That is almost 50 years. And I met Charles when we were both teenagers. He was attending Minerva College, which was a school just around the corner from where I attended school at Bishop Anstey. He was related to a very close friend of a boyfriend of mine at the time, and we started to really hang out together fairly often. After we all left high school, Charles migrated. I went off to university, and we reconnected during his visits back home, largely at times when he would be producing a calypso, because he had the Calypso King of Winnipeg. He would put it at a carnival time to participate in the local festivities, primarily recording his calypso, and as well adjudicating or going through a review process to be included in what we call calypso tents. So over time, he and I would spend time around those engagements, around Carnival, and then quite some time later, he decided, I'm not sure if he decided or if it evolved, that he would return home. His parents had passed, and for that he acquired an estate that he undertook to farm, first as a gentleman farmer and then as a full-time engagement. Then I became his customer. But notwithstanding all of that, our relationship continued to grow and in depth and in breadth over these very, very many years. He married my childhood friend, Celis, who he met at my house on one of her visits to Trinidad and Tobago while she was living abroad as well. So, and Celis's mother and my mother went to school together. So that kind of friend come family relationship has always been a part of my upbringing and that of Celis's. So Charles joined this family and therefore became part of my extended family, and that is where we are today. An indication of what Charlo may have contributed to who I am, let me put it over that way, because I don't think it is about him at all. I think it is more about how he contributes to the lives of others. And suffice it to say that when I celebrate my significant milestone in my years very recently on a cruise to Europe, Charles felt the need to be a part of that engagement, a part of that journey. And I think it was quite appropriate that he would be there. We had celebrated many, many birthdays together, those that were significant and those that were not so significant. As a matter of fact, Charlo was, I can probably say he was all of my milestones birthdays. The 21 and the 30 and the 40 and whatever. I think he was present with almost all of them. Wow. So in essence, for who he is, he's become an integral part of my life and that of my family's, because he's just always around. He's always been around for us.
Yeah, Charles Olivier is my cousin. Charles has been a very supportive person. Maybe, even though I met Charles when he was very, very young, there was a gap when he went to Canada, and he went on his last return. We sort of hooked up because we had a common interest in culture. And Charles is a man who has dedicated his life to being in and around culture, supporting artists, and so on. And he has been reliable for them, made his best efforts to support them and their program. And he was also a very good friend, right? So Charles is a beautiful person with a big heart, and he gives as much as he could to assist whenever is necessary. He doesn't flinch from responsibility, and all I can say is that Charles has made a significant contribution, and wherever he goes in the future, that they will treat him well because he has given all from his heart. Thank you, Charles.